It is time to bring in Arthur Schwartz, the food maven. Arthur, of course, joins us here on a Monday morning. And by the way, if you miss it, RobinHoodRadio.com, click on demand, click on Arthur Schwartz, the food maven. It's also on iTunes and Stitcher as well. Good morning, Arthur.
Good morning. Good morning. Close your ears if you're a locavore. A friend of mine who never goes food shopping, she lets her husband do all the food shopping, and actually says she hates food shopping, don't get that, discovered what she says is a new apple. It's called Jazz, Jazz. Did she look to see, like anything about it? And no. It ends up it's from New Zealand. So if you don't mind eating apples from down under, I can highly recommend the Jazz. She bought these apples so for us to dip into honey for Rosh Hashanah. There's one left. I saved it just so I could read the label to you. And actually, Jazz, Jazz, is a registered trademark. So I don't know what she paid for this apple, but my guess is she paid more for it than she would pay for other apples that are not a registered trademark. And I did look it up. It's a cross. It is relatively new. I think if you say 20 years is new apple, I guess you could say that. It's a cross between a Braeburn and a Gala, both of which, by the way, were developed in New Zealand. So besides sheep, obviously they have a lot of apples in New Zealand. The joke about New Zealand is there are more sheep than people.
Now that's Jazz spelled how's
J-A-Z-Z, Jazz.
Wow.
And so I looked it up, and in fact, this is the peak season for New Zealand Jazz apples. But they are now grown also in Washington State, perhaps even in the Hudson Valley. I don't know. If anybody out there is growing Jazz, tell me. It's a really good apple. It's super-duper crisp. At least the one when I had it last week when it was absolutely fresh, it was super-duper crisp. Sort of a creamy flesh. I would say it's got a nice balance of sweet tart, but with a spicy edge. I don't know how else to describe this sort of jazzy taste that it has.
They've got their own website. Jazz
has its own website. How come I didn't find that this morning?
Jazzapple.com.
He typed in Jazz. He typed in Jazz.
All right, well, there you go. The Jazz apple, I highly recommend it. If they're asking $4 a pound, I don't know. I might go to some local Cortlands instead. Anyway, moving on, because I have a whole bunch of
got a list
little items today. Have you ever been to Hamilton Books, Edward R. Hamilton Books in Falls Village?
Sure.
No,
Actually, the building.
Yeah.
You get the catalog.
Yeah, but there's
it's one of the largest.
Have you been in that building?
Remainder houses in the country. And I used to live in West Cornwall, so we could walk over, and if we walked over frequently enough, we once or twice we found it open to the public. And it's not a place for browsing, though. The catalog is a place for browsing, and I always look in the cookbook section because I want to see if they're remaining. There was a period where they had a couple of my books, at severe discount because they're remainders. But that's been a while. Anyway, so I'm looking through it, and I realize, these are the books that they're selling off, so to speak, because they didn't sell so well in the store, or, how publishers get very impatient. If the book doesn't take off in 6 months or a year, they're already discounting it to the dealers. To say, this is sort of a cemetery, this list of cookbooks, a cemetery for peaked and over-the-hill cooking trends. For instance, unless they, just published way too many of these books thinking something's going to happen, but the newest, latest, greatest appliance, which you can view any weekend day on many TV stations and infomercials, is an air fryer. Have you seen these air fryers?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I'm curious about them, but I'm not enough to buy one.
I have one.
You have one,
but I don't have.
Love it?
I don't have a new one. I have one that I got like 2.5, 3 years ago.
Well, this is not a new thing.
No.
I bought one 25 years
Yeah.
ago. It wasn't called an air fryer. They had some other name for it, but it was exactly the same thing.
It's like a convection
which is
oven.
a very strong fan,
Yeah.
an electric heat source. So it's convection.
Yeah.
That's what Marshall just said. It's a convection oven. I've started to think of the thing that just drips grease no matter what.
Well, whatever it does, I'm not buying one. But my godson and his wife were gifted one, and Jane made chicken wings in it, and she said they came out really good. But I don't know, she's a fat phobic woman. What can I say?
It makes one thing really good.
Anyway, the thing is, there are two air fryer cookbooks in this list. So that must be something that has either peaked or the publishers just decided too many of them had the same idea. Here's the 175 best air fryer recipes. $20 reduced from 25. That's not such a big discount. There was another one here. Then I had a laugh at pickling. Pickling has been a trend. I don't know what to say. A fad for several years now, and in fact, I would say maybe 10 years ago, at my cooking school with Cecilia in Pestum, we had a group of students, graduates actually, from the Culinary Institute of America, and I went around the table and asked them what they were going to be doing after this sort of graduate trip, immersion in Italian food. And one of the boys said, I say boy because he was only like 20, one of the boys said, I want to make pickles. I said, do your parents know that they just spent $100,000 for a degree so you could make pickles? But was I wrong? Pickles are a huge thing these days, and you can make $1 million probably making pickles. My grandfather was a professional pickle maker. I guarantee you he did not make any money making pickles. So that seems to be something that's there. Here's the essential book of fermentation. Oh, added to the taste of pickles, we have the fact that lactic fermentation, which is what natural pickles go through, is probiotic, like kimchi.
Right.
Yeah. So that's another trend that seems to be dying, or at least they had too many books on it. Distilling is another one. I think after a few people blow themselves up distilling at home, that trend was over. Then, of course, you've got the cooking with booze. There's always, every season, there's a cooking with booze or wine book that gets remaindered. And what else can I say? I don't know. I mean, these take a look at this if you get the Hamilton catalog, and you're going to see all the books that you shouldn't buy. So, moving on, an update on American cheese.
I'm waiting.
Well, I touted Applegate.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a good product.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not. But it's about double the price of any other American. It was organic, too. Double the price of almost any other American cheese. And it is, the first ingredient in that is cheddar cheese. So it's actually a processed cheese made with real cheese. Whereas if you read the ingredient labels of other brands, it starts out with a milk product, but not cheese. So my new one is, because the supermarket around the corner from me sells it, is Land O'Lakes. How did I forget Land O'Lakes? I swear by their butter.
So do I.
So I don't swear by their butter, but I like their butter. And it ends up their American cheese is quite good too. I tried to find out a nutritional profile on it, but I couldn't. But I did find you're better at searching for these things.
So what am I looking for?
I am. So I don't know. So moving on here, just to say, it's the middle of September. You have the very last gasp of tomatoes. So this is the week, folks. If you want to make tomato sauce, this is the week to do it. Buy yourself a half bushel of Roma tomatoes. Those are plum tomatoes, and you can. I'm going to do this myself. Go to the farm market and get some Romas, because I love a fresh tomato sauce, especially in the middle of the winter when you can't get a fresh you can these days get a relatively decent tomato even in the winter, but not like they are now. So that's a good thing. And also, if you haven't had your fill of BLTs or a caprese salad, that's mozzarella with tomatoes and basil, then now's the time. Speaking of basil, it's also getting to be the last gasp of basil, so if you want to put up your pesto, this is the week to do it. I did put up some pesto already, and in fact had some great mozzarella the other day, but no basil because I used it all up making the pesto. A little smear of your pesto on a slice of mozzarella is summer. What can I say? It's the taste of summer. And by the way, it doesn't have to be sliced tomatoes and sliced mozzarella in alternating slices on the plate. That's a new presentation. People are shocked to hear that the original presentation was the tomato cut into a rose and the pieces of mozzarella, not buffalo mozzarella, because they did not have buffalo on Capri. Caprese comes from the Isle of Capri. They did not. They had cows, but they didn't have. And also Sorrento, which is famous for its cow's milk cheese, is right across the water. So they didn't use buffalo milk in the original Caprese. And I find actually, I never ever buy buffalo mozzarella in the States because it's already too old, but I can get great cow's milk cheese. So this is the week to do that. And maybe the week to start thinking about, believe it or not, Thanksgiving. I hear, because I don't do this myself, I haven't ordered a turkey in many a year, but I do hear that the good turkeys go fast, and unless you order a turkey by, mid-October at the latest, you're not going to get the greatest. And apropos of this, I just received the Heritage Foods catalog. Now, Heritage Foods started out as a real alternative kind of meat place, but these days, I think many, many people are looking for better quality meat. I mean, if you're going to eat meat, you want it to be humanely raised. You want it to be, you are what you eat eats. You want it to eat good stuff, maybe be grass-fed. And Heritage Foods is I guess you'd have to say they're a wholesaler distributor of meat that's grown on small family farms under strict regulations. I use a Yiddish word to describe these meats. You can look this up. Hoo-ha. Hoo-ha is a sarcasm, meaning a big deal. It means other things as well. But in this case, I mean it to mean, it's grass-fed, antibiotic-free, all these things that are healthier and people are searching for. I call it hoo-ha meat because it's got all these things. Now, among the hoo-has, the thing that is enticing me the most, by the way, so they do have heritage turkeys. If you look at the back of the catalog, you want to eat that turkey that they show there. I have to find out who roasted that turkey because it is the most magnificent mahogany color, orangey mahogany color, unless they retouch the picture. But I don't think Heritage Foods does such things. And they're and it's not hideously expensive. It's expensive, but more or less $10 a pound for delivered fresh with neck and giblets, and your delivery will come by Tuesday, November 20th. You think that's far away, blink, and Thanksgiving's going to be here. But the thing that's really, because, I like turkey on Thanksgiving, I guess. I really like the stuffing better than the meat, but lately I'm liking the meat because we get good meat, is the Wagyu ribeye and Wagyu strip roasts. Now, Wagyu, is the real name for Kobe, but Kobe is a place in Japan, and to say Kobe beef means it comes from Japan, imported meat. We raise the same breed, I have to say, an extremely well-marbled breed of cattle here, and it's called Wagyu. And you can buy a whole Wagyu rib roast, about 4 pounds, for $119. That seems to me a bargain. I mean, if I go to my butcher, it's going to be $20, at minimum, going to be $20 a pound. And just looking at they had a great photographer do this brochure, because every page my mouth waters. I'm sure they have all the same pictures on their website, Heritage Foods, I'm assuming it's .com. So take a look. And especially when you live in the northwest corner of Connecticut, it's nice to know a place that can deliver to your door these exotic things. Like you get 4 14 to 16 ounce ribeye steaks, boneless, for $125. That's a very good buy. 4 pounds for, boneless. So what's on your mind?
There's another site that you can go to, Arthur, which is really great, which Jill sent me to a long time ago. It's called U.S. Wellness Meats. They're all ethically raised and stuff, and natural, preservatives. All the extra stuff taken
meat.
out. But I've ordered from them, and it's everything. Everything is excellent except their sausage, which stinks. But everything.
I have a lot of trouble with sausage these days.
The best sausage I found, P.S.
People think that leaner is better, but no.
Oh, no.
No. The opposite.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And I have to say, my Calabrese butcher makes extraordinary sausage, which I didn't really appreciate enough until I started eating some other sausage. I'm not even going to name names here, but all I want in my sausage is pork fat, salt, pepper, and that's about it.
I know, but this whole the fat thing, I'm sort of the best. The best sausage I found here, and I will name names, and I've gone through everybody's, is the sausage that Le Bon's makes.
Oh, they make it there.
And they make it there.
They make great hot dogs there, too, as well, by the way.
Really?
But it is, when I tell you I've been through everything, I've been through everything. Ordered from here, ordered from there, up to that. Fat.
Just to use one example, Costco sells Premio sausage, which I used to like quite a lot. I have to say, they still taste good to me. But if you read the label, it's frightening.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And I read labels. So I really I'm now, there are 2 butchers in Brooklyn that make extraordinary sausage, Faico, which also has a shop in Greenwich Village. It's cousins. It's not the same family. It's their cousins. And I have no idea how Faico sausage are in Greenwich Village anymore. I haven't bought them in many, many years. But I learned how to make sausage, Italian sausage, which is really about technique, not really a recipe so much, from the original owners of Faico on Bleecker Street. But anyway, now there's a Faico here in Dyker Heights.
Really?
And yeah,
I love. By the way,
they've been there for 50 years at least. And then my butcher, which is called United Meat, which is in Windsor Terrace, which, by the way, Windsor Terrace is the community right next door to Park Slope. You go to the end of Prospect Park, on Prospect Park West, and the street goes for a few more blocks, and that is the shopping center of Windsor Terrace. Windsor Terrace was just cited by the real estate hoo-has here. There's my hoo-ha. Bigwigs. That the best, let's see, how did they phrase this? The best value for housing in New York City. And they say that, I'm sure, because they're wonderful old, early 20th century and up into the 20s, great construction period buildings there, including apartment houses facing Prospect Park, an underrated stretch of Prospect Park Southwest, it's called. And there's good shopping, and now there are restaurants opening, and it's really a beautiful, lovely, quiet community. And there's my Calabrese butcher, but he's not just a butcher. He's really a full-service Italian market, carrying everything you'd need to cook Italian food, as well as local Brooklyn bread of various kinds and qualities. But, you shop. And you know what? And an amazingly good vegetables. He always has just a few vegetables every day, not a big selection. But even in the winter, I was buying good zucchini there. So, somebody in the shop, I think it's Rocco. There are two owners, they're brothers. Rocco is my contact. I think Rocco picks out the vegetables. And he also makes extraordinary eggplant parmesan, which you can buy all prepared and just stick it in the oven. And I have never pawned it off as my own, but I would. It's the style I make, which is very, very thinly sliced, probably on the machine in his case. In my case, too, actually. I have a machine for this. Sliced eggplant, dipped in egg and flour, fried, and layered with really good tomato sauce made with great canned San Marzano tomatoes, just enough cheese. It's really good. I think I'm out of time.
No, you've got plenty of time.
How many more minutes? Not very many.
No. Well, plenty of time in radio.
Well, plenty of time. Actually, I got 3, but what do you have?
No, you've got about 7 minutes. Yeah.
Really?
I'm
not watching the clock today, but
I
was talking a lot.
It's 7:55.
Yeah. So I'm going to cook today.
What are you making?
And because this is, besides tomatoes, this is your last gasp of red peppers, which for some reason have been scarce around here. I did last week at the farmer's market score some good red peppers, but yesterday when I went to another market, there were none. So, but I do have 3 left. When I do score a lot of peppers, good peppers, I roast them. 450 degree oven, depends on the pepper. Could take 15 minutes, could take 20 something. Not much more than 20 something. And then once they're charred from the hot oven, I put them in a pot covered and let them come to room temperature, and then they peel very easily and seed them very easily, and I cut the ribs out, and I put them in oil. You don't have to put them under oil. If you just put it on enough oil, it coats all the peppers and keep them in the fridge. They'll keep for at least 5 days. So I'm making chicken cacciatore today because I have a few roasted peppers left, and I'm going to make the Sophia Loren version, which is with you brown the chicken. You add the garlic and tomato, make a little sauce, put the chicken back in the pot, skin side up so that the browned skin doesn't get all not brown and sort of soft. See if you can maintain that nice color. Sometimes you can't. And you cover the pot and let it simmer in the tomatoes for, 20 minutes or so. And then you put in your sliced roasted pepper and let it simmer a few more minutes. And if you want to put basil in, that's good. If you don't have any basil, you can use a little oregano here. And that's my chicken alla cacciatora, hunter style. Although I don't know any hunters who hunt for chicken.
There is just it's just one of the most disgusting things I read years ago was a Wall Street Journal, full page, several pages on processing chickens, and that was before they had become the go-to food. And I just have to say that the more you can do it, know where your food is coming from, the happier you're going to be with your life.
I don't know. Some people are pretty disgusted when they read how chickens are slaughtered, or
I understand, but that's it. I'm not suggesting that people read it. I'm suggesting that you know where your chicken is coming from. And
chocolate milk does not come from brown cows.
Exactly. But there's a
but people
you'd be surprised.
I think psychologically, a large portion of the population does not want to know.
Well, they won't focus on.
Chicken breasts come from an actual chicken.
Yeah, but they
buy skinless, boneless. Americans are afraid of fish bones.
I know.
You got to go to a ethnic restaurant or a very fancy restaurant to get a
fish head with eyes
on the bones.
But the fish bone phobia. I really, literally watched somebody just
choke on a fish bone,
and it was horrible. And it sort of went like, all right, we're going to be conscientious about this going forward. Like really conscientious. Like, how about not eat fish conscientious? But there needs to be more of a. It's funny. This next group coming up, they're way more interested in where things come from.
I have to tell you.
Oh no, they're totally involved in that.
Yeah.
But unlike my friend who bought Jazz apples and didn't even look at the label to see that they were coming from New Zealand.
Right.
When I said, "Oh, they're a New Zealand apple," she said, "Oh, how did you know that?" It's written on the label.
My story of that is when I moved to Maine, one of the first things I did, I went out and I was at a fish market, and shrimp was like really cheap, so I bought like 2 pounds of shrimp, right? And I get it home and I open it up in the kitchen, and damn, it's the whole shrimp. I had the eyes. I was like, oh, jeez.
Tails, heads.
What the hell?
Maybe big ugly black veins.
Right.
It was unbelievable. It was like
take the head off. You got to take the tail off. You got to devein it.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. It was like, thank God
I know, but I must say you're right. Young
thank God I had something else to eat.
At least the young people we know. You have to understand that we live in a cocoon of culture.
No, but what I'm talking about. No, I have.
I don't know if you went. Somebody the other day in Kansas was asked who's Paul Manafort, and they had no idea who Paul Manafort was.
No, that cocoon, by the way, but that's further.
Right.
I wanted
no, but and I shouldn't just say the Midwest because it was somebody in. I know it was also this young brother and sister who run a fishing boat in Maine. They had no clue about anything except fish in Maine.
Right.
All right. Well,
it's called life.
Now we're out of time.
No, I mean people can close things off and not be involved in the world.
All right. Well, now
they have their own world to worry about.
Now we are out of time.
Yeah, and there are lots of them.
I thought so.
Subitement. Alors, okay. Au revoir. And lots of.
I'm going to New Orleans. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so I'm going to broadcast from New Orleans when I get there in a month.
And we're excited.
But if anybody has any really serious recommendations for where I should eat that isn't already in the guidebooks,
I have no idea. I just wonder if the Eggs
send
Benedict.
Send me something at Maven's Mail at AOL, which is always the way you can contact me. Maven's Mail at AOL. I get laughed at about that AOL. Apparently, it's totally.
It's old, but it still works.
It still works.
Yeah, shows how old I am.
That's right. All right.
All right. Take care. Have a great week, kids.
All right.
You too.
Arthur Schwartz, the food maven. Mavensmail.aol.com. Mavensmail.aol.com on the web, and that's how you can reach Arthur Schwartz. Underwriting support for Arthur Schwartz, the food maven, from Hathaway Young, located on South Center Street in Millerton. Flawless catering and event planning, hathawayyoung.com. John Andrews Restaurant on the Hillsdale Road in South Egremont, 413-528-3467. On the web, jarestaurant.com. Rubiners Cheesemongers and Grocers on Main Street in Great Barrington, 413-528-0488, rubiners.com. In Hillsdale, New York, Hillsdale Home Chef with 2 beautiful teaching classes, and they've got classes to go in those cooking rooms. More information, 518-325-7000, hgshomechef.com. And Haven Cafe in Lenox, Massachusetts, offering quality food and excellent service. From a fresh cup of great coffee to healthy, delicious breakfast, or a sit-down with the dinner with a tasty, life-enhancing meal that you can take home. Also, they feature catering, supporting local organic farmers, environmentally conscious, and epicurious distributors, havencafebakery.com.